This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. What I was saying is that you're going to see a method. My spacing method has only 3 single rules, 1 big exception and 1 little exception. That's all. What's the background about this? When I was younger, when I was beginning my coaching career, I had very clear in my mind what I wanted to teach. My basketball was clear for me in my mind. But one day I found myself when teaching on court, when practicing, that it wasn't easy for my players. I had a lot of rules and a lot of exceptions, and the more we kept playing, the more rules were incoming into the backup rules, and more exceptions were taking place whenever a situation was arising that we haven't seen. So I thought to myself that I'd rather have my ideas clear in my mind, but for sure it wasn't clear for my players because that was too complicated for them. So I had an engineer background, and I was thinking about Albert Einstein, who once said, if you cannot explain something to your grandma and without she being able to understand it, that means that you don't also understand it. Wow, that was a big quote, okay? Because a lot of times it was like, well, you will understand someday. Those were kids. Those were like my grandma. And keeping Albert Einstein's words, I said, okay, if you're not able to explain it, that means that you don't understand it. So I started kind of a race to decrease the number of rules that rule everything on a basketball court in terms of spacing. And what you're going to see today is the result of just decreasing those number of rules. It's not to make it simpler. Here you're going to see all the basketball without related to the ball, how we move related to the ball, that you're going to see in a basketball court. Everything, but everything is reduced to 3 rules and 1 big exception. Okay, just before I share my just before you see my screen, I would just suggest that everybody shuts down their mics because I'm getting noise from behind. Okay, it makes me okay. So I'm gonna be sharing my screen with you guys. Okay, there you see it. Okay, let's go with the first rule. Okay, sorry. There you go. Now you see it. Let's go with the first rule, and you may take notes. I don't have it here on screen. First rule is very simple. The 3 rules are very simple. You're gonna see it. What's difficult is to apply it. Okay. The first rule is that whatever you place yourself on court, you gotta make it in a way that you don't make it easy for one defender to play defense on 2 offense players at the same time. Okay, simple enough. Okay, wherever you place yourself on court, don't make it easy for one defender to play defense on 2 offense players. Okay, what that means is that if we're too close together, okay, if we are too close together, just one defender is enough to play defense on 2 guys. And it may be not the case on the ball, but it's for sure the case away from the ball. Okay, and we gotta avoid that. Pretty simple. When you start practicing with little kids, you know the first rule is just try to spread them because they all go for the ball, right? So simple enough. You would be surprised how many times we do not comply with this rule. Okay. Second one. It's only 3. Remember. Okay. The second rule is that 2 or more offense players cannot be in the same passing lane for the ball, which means I got a set here. Okay, the ball is in number 1 on the left side of the court, and I got 5, 4, and 3. Okay, all defining a line with the ball. And why we want to avoid this when we're playing? Because let's say that I'm number 1 and I want to pass number 5 or number 4, and I give a pass at a mid-range height. Okay, enough for number 5 to get it, but to think that wow, I don't know if it's too high or not. I may try to get it, but it may go too high. So when I throw the ball to the air, nobody knows who the ball is for, okay? So the only way to avoid that is that nobody is in the same line with the ball. So in this situation, number 3, so just get out of there. So if number 1 gives a pass here, number 5 knows it's not for him because it's in another passing lane. But if 3 was here and I throw a pass, I throw a pass for 3 from here, depending on the height I give the pass, number 5 does not know if it's for him and he's looking at the ball. Number 4 doesn't know if it's for him and he's looking at the ball. So if the ball is for number 3 and number 4 tries to get it and he deflects it, we may turn the ball over. Okay, so we gotta try to avoid these situations on court. And it's pretty simple to see it here. Okay, and for instance, when you're in line with one teammate, the first one that has to break the line is the one that sees everything. So it's the last one, because if 5 is looking at the ball and he doesn't know where 4, 3, and 2 are on court. Okay, if 4 is looking at the ball, he's looking here at the ball. Okay, what's going to happen is that he sees that he's in line with 5, but he doesn't know where 3 is because he doesn't know if he's moving or not. He's looking at the ball, so he doesn't know what goes on behind on his back. Okay, so the first one that has to break the line is the one that's seen somebody in between him and the ball. So number 3 should move. I don't know. He may move up or he may move down. That's up to him. Okay. Now 3 is still in line if 3 moves. Okay, and that's what I'm gonna do. 4 is still in line with 5, but 5 doesn't know what's going on his back. So 4 also has to move, and he can move up or down. If he moves down, now 3 has to keep the same rule. I mean, if 4 is moving, 3 cannot stay behind. He has to move a little bit, okay? So he gets rid of the same passing lane, okay? And this is something that players have to be aware every single time they're playing with the ball, okay? Now, one more thing. This rule, and I'm gonna repeat it, okay? Which is 2 or more offense players should not be the same passing lane for the ball. This rule is extended to defense, and this means that if somebody's with the ball here, and this, for instance, this is a place where you're gonna be seeing that rule applied, which is being in the same passing lane, okay? In this situation, you gotta try to move a little bit so you break the line with 5 related to 1, okay? But now I said that rule is extended to defense, which means this: if I'm standing on the corner with the ball on the low post, it doesn't matter, it can be anywhere on court, okay? And my defender stays in line between me and the ball, okay? In here, let's see if I get it right. Okay, in the line, I should make a subtle move to break that line. And in this moment, it has to be subtle, because if it's a big move, if you move long enough, defense will move with you. But if you just move just half a meter, you're breaking the line, so it's easier for number 1 to see you, even to throw the pass if he wants to give you the pass, okay? And in this situation, usually defense is not gonna move if you just move half a meter, okay? And that's what we want. So it has to be a small move to break the line without worrying the defender, okay? So again, I repeat it. We got 2 rules already. One is, wherever you locate or you place yourself on court, don't make it easy for defense, for one defender to play defense on 2 or more offense players. Second rule, 2 or more offense players cannot be in the same passing lane of the ball, okay? Extended to defense. And now let's go with the third one, okay? Which is on the face of the ball, and I will explain what this means, okay? And I'm gonna get the number 2, okay? On the face of the ball, you should keep as much time as possible on the viewing angles of the ball, which means if this guy is driving, okay, we human beings see in a 180-degree angle, something like that. It's 178, 179, 180, which means that when I'm at this point, if 2 does not move, number 1 will not be able to see number 2 unless he turns his head. Okay? What this rules is saying is that I gotta keep myself as much as possible in the viewing angles of the ball when I am on the face of the ball. And I'm gonna explain this, what the face of the ball means. Okay. When somebody drives, doesn't matter the place on court, he will do it to the right or to the left. Okay? Usually you may think that he may go straight. Usually that's not possible, and if he does, he will have to decide if he dribbles with the left or with the right. So it doesn't matter. Okay? Once we go left or right or left, okay, I'm gonna exaggerate it for you to understand what I mean. Let's say that I'm moving to my right, okay, and I'm gonna exaggerate it. I'm going this way, okay? So because we see in an 180 degrees, everything that's here in this side of the court is what I call the face of the ball, because I'm on the face of the ball. And everything that's behind that line, okay, it's on the back of the ball. So this means that if I move left, okay, if I move to my left, this will be, it's like kind of the strong and the weak side, right? The face of the ball, and this is the back of the ball, okay? Just think it, exaggerating, okay? I'm moving towards the sideline. Everything that I cannot see because it's on my back, it's the back of the ball. Everything I can see because it's on my face, it's the face of the ball. So again, I repeat the rule. On the face of the ball, stay as long as possible and mark this as possible, as much as possible, as long as possible, okay? What is gonna be limiting myself to stay on the viewing angles of the ball when somebody's driving? And again, I'm doing everything from the top of the key, but you can do it anywhere. First, my first limitation is the boundaries of the court. Okay, I won't go any longer, right? The second one is my teammates. If I got a teammate here, okay, I want to move. Let's say I start here. Say we go like this, and this guy starts to move. I want to go as much as possible in his viewing angles without breaking rule number 1, which means that if I keep going, one defender is going to be able to play defense on both, and I don't want to break rule number 1. Okay, so those are the 2 limitations that will stop me from moving on the viewing angles of the ball. One, it's the boundaries of the court. The second one is my teammates. If I got a teammate on the corner, I cannot get as low as I want to stay on the viewing angles of the ball because I will break rule number 1. Okay? If there's nobody on the corner, then if number 1 keeps driving, I should keep going to the corner. Okay? You got it? Now, for instance, I didn't start with it. These are the 3 rules. Okay? In terms of spacing, you can place your players wherever you want. But there's a mathematical, let's say, rule, and this is math, this is geometry, this is not something I invented, okay? In order to distribute your players on half court, trying to keep as much as distance between them, okay, as possible, the situation is like this. You will want to place one player in one corner, one player in the other corner, okay, because this is the maximum distance they're going to be able to keep. This is 180 degrees, and I got a place, and this is, as you may know, this is a semicircle, okay? So anything set on the radius of that semicircle is at the same distance. So if the 3-point line is the semicircle, anything located in here, doesn't matter, the number doesn't matter. If I place somebody under the basket, they are all at the same distance. Okay, so what I wanna do is set somebody under the basket, 2 guys on the corner, so I got 3 players left. Okay, and math says that in order to distribute that, you got 180 divided by 3. Okay, that gives you 60 degrees. So now if you place another player here and another player here, 60 degrees, not 45, that's math. That's the positions where you're gonna keep the largest distance between players. There's for sure 1 point here. I cannot keep this guy more than 3 seconds under the basket. So what I do is I usually try to spread the floor just like that, okay? And let's say I have 60 degrees, number 1 with the ball, okay? I got this situation. Where do I set my number 5? Usually, unless he wants to play in the low post opposite side, and this is very important for spacing. Under the line of the board, because playing down here breaks every defensive triangle. It's not possible to keep a defensive triangle the way we were taught, and that's something we wanna do against defense. Okay, and I'm gonna explain before going on. I'm gonna explain this with a situation where you inbound from baseline, okay, which is this. If you got an inbounder, you set somebody on the opposite corner, okay, the only way a defender can play a normal defense on that situation, this is the defender, if he wants to keep the normal triangle he was taught, he would play a defense outside of the court, and nobody wants to play defense outside of the court. Okay, as soon as he stays on court, and because number 1 can get as back as he wants, but with the limits, of course, of the court, and if you got a wall right on his back, you can ask the referee for his defender. Okay, I'm gonna duplicate this one. I'm gonna set it here. Let's say that you got a wall, you cannot get step backwards. Okay, then you can ask for the referee to make this guy a step 1 meter away. Okay, those are the rules. Okay, but let's say that you are on normal court and you are able to step back 1 meter, 2 meters, whatever you want. Okay, in this situation, you see that as soon as this guy, defender number 2, wants to play defense on number 2, you see that he cannot play the passing lane. If he wants to play the passing lane, he has to be out of the court. Okay, and this is very important. Now, some people give the theoretical solution of turning his back on the opposite. But if he does this, this is something we would like on offense. Why? Because this guy will be defending number 2, but won't see anything that's going on there, so he won't be able to set a help or to try to help his teammates when somebody's trying to play a cut or a screen or whatever. So if they decide to play like that, that's perfect for us. And even in this situation, you are leaving the passing lane free. Okay, so the only way that you can play defense on that situation on the corner from baseline is staying close to your man. Staying close to your man gets you out of all the defense. Now you're able to defend the passing lane of your man, but you're standing out of everything that's going on here when you play on baseline. That's why most of professional basketball coaches usually try to put somebody dynamically or statically on the opposite corner when you're inbounding. Okay, so now if you understood this, let's get back on court. Okay, let's say that we want to have somebody with the ball, let's say on top. You can put it wherever you want. Okay, and let's say 45 degrees, I don't care. Let's put it down here. This is the defender of number 2. He's trying to play the famous triangle. Okay, he's trying to to play in here with this triangle, okay, as he was shown. Now, what happens when number 2 starts to move on baseline, very close to baseline? That now the triangle gets him out of the position where he can protect the basket. And if number 2 keeps going, or he gets close to him, or he's going to be changing his position in another way of triangle, that's going to be making very simple to give it the passing lane. Okay, so this concept is very important to understand, and that's why I want players playing behind the line of the backboard, okay, because it breaks every triangle defensive situation you try to play. You gotta give another solution, but the triangle is no longer a solution. Okay, you will have to play defense on a line, or usually what we professional coaches do is in this situation, and let's do it with a big. Okay, let's say that you got 2 bigs or somebody playing in the low post. Okay, and you got somebody behind, and this is the defender down here. If he stays here to protect the rim, he does not see number 2. He's giving the back to number 2. Okay, he cannot see him. He cannot see him. So number 2 may move on his back, try to surprise, or he will come into a point where you won't see him going into a cut. Okay, and that's something desirable for offense. Now, if he gets slow to defend him, and there are players that play so well the baseline that you should, now you free the space. You free the space for the ball to play, and that's something desirable. Okay, so that's the importance of playing on that baseline situation. That meter and 20 centimeters. Okay, I'm from Spain. I don't know how many inches or foot that are that. Okay, but I don't know if it's well, whatever. It's 1 meter and 20 centimeters. Play with that line. Okay. Now, I've told you 3 rules playing with that line, and I'm gonna talk about a method that will help your players comply with these 3 rules every single time. Okay. You can apply these rules with mini basketball players, with pro players. They do not change. That once they learn them, they're going to be the same for their whole career. It makes no difference the level or the age they have. Okay. Now, my method to teach this is what I call the rule of the circle. And the rule of the circle, and it's not a rule, it's kind of a method. Okay, says this. Let's go with it. Okay. On perimeter players, when somebody is driving, okay, he's defining a circle. Now, to understand this, let's say this. Number 1 has his left foot, his right foot. Let's say that we tie his left foot, because he's going to the right, to a rope and to the ground. Okay, so it's 50 centimeters long. So when he reaches 50 centimeters away from his position, when he tries to go, he's got a rope. So if he keeps going, he would draw a circle, because the rope will not let him keep going farther away from where he's stuck to the ground. Okay, so in this situation, the direction of the circle he's drawing, if he goes to the right, is an counterclockwise direction. So the rule says that every perimeter player will move on the same direction of the circle defined by the ball, which means that number 2 will move on this direction, and number 3 will move on this one. Okay, so now let's go with this one first. If this applies, I'm gonna erase their foot. Okay, somebody's driving here. In this way, he's driving the direction of this circle. Okay, number 2, applying the method of the circle, is complying with 2 rules at the same time. First one, he's getting away from the ball, so he's not making it easy for his defender to play defense on both. Okay, second, he's trying to stay as long as possible on the viewing angles of the ball. Okay, And now you would ask, okay, Jota, so why does 3 have to come behind? Okay, because usually in these situations, if number 1 beats his defender and he's going to the rim, we can reach in and recover on the face of the ball, but we never, or we shouldn't, give a complete help on the face of the ball. Why? Because that's a 3-pointer shot every single time. Okay? Usually, good teams play defense, help defense with the weak side. Okay? And remember the rule. The rule says 2 or more offense players should not be in the same passing lane with the ball extended to defense. Look what happens. When number 1 is starting beating his defender, if I start moving to the corner instead of coming up, my defender is going to come and try to help in here. But what happens because he's moving down and I'm moving down? That we're going to be, in every particular point, we're going to be staying in the same line for the ball. And that's something that we don't want because the rule is extended to defense. And this has a second effect, which is that if you move backwards, okay, you always have somebody ready to play defensive transition in case there's a shot. If you let somebody drive and you let everybody go baseline, if this guy shoots, nobody's ready to go to defensive transition. That's not what the rule is for, but it's something that happens applying the rule. So it's something I like, okay? And if you're advanced enough, if you play with pick and rolls, you will see this happen over and over again. You play a pick and roll, what you ask the guy on the corner to do? Oh, the circle roll on the perimeter, okay? So it doesn't change. You learn it 5-on-0 with everybody open, or 5-on-5 with everybody open. When you get to a point where your coach teaches you pick and rolls, the rule for you is exactly the same. It doesn't change. Okay. Now, the rule is exactly the same for perimeter players. Sorry, for inside players. Okay. Let's say I have this. Okay. Let's say I have this situation. The rule, we move on the same direction of the circle on the perimeter. Same applies to low post opposite from the ball, like this case. I drive this way. I want to move this way in the same direction of the circle. Okay? I move this way. Now the circle is going in this direction. This is my move in the same direction of the ball. Okay? Now let's go with the low post on the same side of the ball. If I got a low post on the same side of the ball, okay, usually it's not mandatory, but usually when you're trying to deny, we try to play 3/4. This is what you're gonna find most of the times. Okay, so let's say that while trying to play with the low post, number 1 finds an advantage and he tries to go to the rim. Okay, for sure he will try to go to the rim with a certain distance between him and the low post, because if not, he's going to break rule number 1, or he's going to crash into his teammate and his defense, and that's something that you don't want to do. Okay, in this situation, what's going to happen when somebody is driving? In this case, this defender, I'm going to try to draw his feet. Okay, he's going to be like this initially, but when he sees this guy driving, he's going to pivot on his outside foot, so he's going to stay like this to try to help. Okay, in this situation, the rule is low post on the same side of the ball moves on an anti-circle, which means I move on the direction opposite to the ball. And in this case, it's his circle is going in this way, I will move on the opposite, and I will go baseline. Why I want to go baseline? Because now, in this situation, what I'm doing is that I'm extending the meters that separate myself from the ball. So if he wants to fully help, I will be absolutely alone, okay? If he wants to come with me, if my defender, when he sees me going baseline, he wants to drop to defend me, he's gonna be freeing the space for the driver to go to the rim. So I'm gonna force you to decide whether you wanna go with me or with the ball. You're not gonna be able to do both, okay? Now, let's say that we go on the other side, okay? That we got a situation where number one is gonna go baseline, okay? In this situation, again, the defender who's gonna be playing 3/4, I don't know, his foot may be like that, I don't know, okay? He will try to get out of here. First reaction for 5 is to try to seal him so he cannot help. But if he gets rid of the help, he will try to pivot and face the ball, okay? In that situation, again, the rule is the same. You play exactly the same rule, which is you gotta move on an anti-circle. So the circle goes this way, I gotta move on the opposite. Now think about this. If I move on the opposite, first, I'm making the distance with the ball bigger. I'm forcing my man again. You got to decide whether you want to go for the ball or you want to go for me. But what's better? What's better? If I do this, if this guy keeps driving, I'm always on the viewing angles of the ball. Wow, that's rule number 2. Try to keep yourself as much as possible on the viewing angles of the ball. And it has a desirable second effect. If this guy shoots, chances that I can go for the offensive rebound are very high. What usually players do in these situations where they're not taught, and for me in the right way, that's why I have these rules. Those are right for me, maybe not for you. What they usually do is this. They come here, okay? What happens here? First, if I got a perimeter player who applies the rules, he's gonna be coming behind. One defender is gonna be able to play defense on both. Second, if this guy keeps going, he's no longer on the viewing angles. Second or third, if I make a shot, chances that I go for the offensive rebound for the elbow are very low. Okay? So, anti-circle, I move on the opposite direction of the ball. Okay? And that helps me apply all the 3 rules that I already taught. For instance, on the previous situation, and I didn't talk about it, okay, is when somebody drives on baseline, the natural reaction of almost every player is to move here. What's the problem with that? The problem with that is that if you remember the defender, he will get wide open, try to pivot to control the ball, okay? But once he thinks the ball is controlled and he needs to recover, we always try to recover our man in the same place we lost him. I mean, if I left you in here while I was opening to the ball and I started looking at the ball, so I cannot see you because I'm focused on the ball, okay? If I think that his man is recovering and he doesn't need a longer help, I will try to find my man where I lost him. But because I lost him here, when I look in this direction, I will already see my man. That's not the case if you do what I told you, going anti-circle baseline. That when this guy, and I'm gonna be erasing, so it's gonna be simple to see. So if when number 5 that has already opened, and now he tries to look, he was looking here, and now he tries to find you back here, he won't see you behind. He will have to look everywhere to see where you are, and he won't know where you are. Okay, while if you come to the south corner, he will see you as soon as he looks where he left you, he will see you, and he will be able to recover. For sure, you can make easy shots, okay? But again, if this guy makes a shot, chances that you go for the offensive rebound for the short corner are not very big. Chances you go for the offensive rebound when you're on baseline close to the basket are very high. Okay, and one thing I didn't talk: if you come from baseline and you're recovering, let's see this. Okay, let's say I went baseline. I got the defender, okay, who's coming from a recovery, and I see my teammate shooting. I can be the one boxing out when I'm on offense. We tell our players to box out when they're on defense, but because you go baseline, you're gonna be able to be in yourself the one boxing out when there's a shot. Okay, because when this guy tries to recover, you're gonna be already screening him, so he's not gonna be able to get the position if you already see somebody, okay, taking that shot on that situation. Okay, for sure you move when you see the ball in the air when somebody's shooting. Got it? Okay, now, so you got the circle method, almost everything. Again, everybody on the perimeter, when somebody drives, moves on the same direction of the ball. Second, and it's the same rule. Low post, opposite side of the ball, apply the same rule, same direction. Okay? Now, low post on the same side of the ball, anti-circle, in the opposite direction of the ball, and playing with baseline when needed. Okay? Now, there's one big exception for this. And if you understood what I told you about having somebody on the opposite corner, because it's impossible to defend unless you're close to him, or you want to play defense outside of the court, or give the back to everything that's going on court, okay? You're going to understand this. Every time somebody drives on a flat situation to baseline, which means kind of parallel to baseline and under the block, perimeter players should, if they apply the rule, they should move opposite direction of the ball. This is a big exception, and it's the only big exception to the method. If there's a flat penetration on baseline, I always want to feel opposite corner. Why? Because if I feel opposite corner, let's say that number 2 is driving, and he's already here, halfway of his drive. Okay, let's say that I have number 3 already in the wall, filling the corner. If his man is the one playing defense on that situation, okay, let's say he's like this, and he abandons because he sees the difficulty, or sorry, the advantage of somebody driving. Now, in this situation, if you take your arm outside, and this will be your shoulders, okay, because you are facing that way, okay? If you take your arm there, this passing lane can only be stopped if somebody's close here. But when you play with second helps, you don't come here, you usually come here. It won't be enough. If you understood the concept on baseline, that won't be enough. The only way for you to avoid that pass is staying close to your man, okay? And because we're not ready to do that, usually we want somebody on the opposite corner, like kind of a release pass, just if I get in trouble and I cannot finish, okay? So the rule says everybody on the perimeter moves on the same direction of the ball unless there's a flat penetration on baseline. In that case, somebody, one player, has to fill the opposite corner, which will usually mean that if you're not already there, let's say that 3 started here, you will have to move to that corner going on the opposite direction of the ball. But that's the big exception, okay? Now, the second exception is a small one, but it's very important that you understand the concept, okay? Now, let's say that we play the same penetration. We got a player playing a flat penetration on baseline, and I have somebody there, okay, on the low post of the opposite side. If you apply the rule, remember that we should move on the same direction of the ball. Okay, this is the exception. If my man does not go for a complete help, then I move on the same direction. For what? For making him decide whether he wants to play defense on me or he wants to stay to play defense on the ball. If he stays under the basket, he won't be able to play defense on no one, and that's okay. But when I move, if he reacts and go against me, he will free the space for the driver. If he stays, okay, then the one that's gonna be free, it's myself. Okay, that's an easy pass to finish with a quick shot. Okay, now, usually he's not gonna stand still. Usually what he's gonna do is he's gonna, at a particular moment, he's gonna go for a help. If he goes for a help, I don't wanna play with the circle. I wanna play directly under the basket. Why? Because in this situation, at the final, at the end of this drive, when somebody helps, it's gonna be kind of a double teaming dynamically, a little bit late because he's beating his man, okay? If, let's say that he applies the rule, okay, and he comes, sorry, I want to curve, and he comes with the rule of the same direction coming here, kind of the same circle, okay? When I want to pass from here, I gotta beat this right hand player's this player's right hand defense hand and the left hand of this one. That's two hands being able to play defense on that, okay? But if I come here, I will usually give the pass on baseline. So that means that I only have to go through one hand on defense, not two, one. Second reason. Usually on that situation, people on the perimeter or players on the perimeter are gonna do what? They're gonna be doing second helps. Okay, so if when he has abandoned me and comes to help, if I do the rule of the circle, what I'm doing coming high here, it's shortening the distance where the second help has to arrive. Instead, if I go directly under the basket, now this distance is longer for the defender, and that's something desirable, okay? And last but not least, if I receive the pass in here, okay, when this guy has to play defense on me, this guy has to turn all the way and try to go against me. And the net is gonna be kind of an obstacle for him to try to block me. But if I go up here, and I receive the pass, when he turns, I'm gonna be in a good advantage position, but he's gonna be able to try to block that shot. Okay? So it's more difficult if I go under the basket, but I only go under the basket if he forgets about me and goes straight for the help. If not, if he stays under the basket without helping, I gotta move on that circle to force him to move. Okay, got it? That's my rule. This is a little detail. This is the second little exception. That's everything. There's no more rules. Nothing else. Okay, just one thing related to timing. Okay, and that you should apply in different situations with this. Before I told you that if you were on the low post opposite to the ball, okay, and if this guy drives, I told you that this guy has to go in the same direction. But the rule would be, if he doesn't cross half court, it's like if I were trying to run on that direction, on the same direction, but somebody's holding my shirt. Okay, so somebody's pulling me back. Okay, but when I see he's gonna go through that line that divides the court on half, then I get released, I accelerate, and I should be crossing half court at the same time. In order to, again, make defense make a decision. Hope you understand this. If I cross this line when driving, then at the same moment, I should be here crossing opposite side. So now my defender should make a decision. If he tries to stop the ball, he's releasing me under the basket. If he comes with me, okay, now he's freeing the space for the penetration. And I gotta force him to make a decision, okay? And that's why I move that way. Now, it's kind of a pole, okay? As much as you get into the line, I get close to the line. As soon as you cross it, I cross it. The farther you get to the other side, the farther I get to the opposite side, okay? If you understand this, when you're playing a pick and roll, farther in the formation of your player, okay, and if you remember this move, okay, it's exactly the same. Same meters, this guy goes low. Same meters, this guy comes high. Okay, like a pole. The meters you go down, the meters I go high. Why? Because if this guy decides to pop, how many meters he go low? 0. I should stay. If not, if I come, we will be breaking rule number 1. One defender can play defense on 2 offensive players. Okay, and this is something that you can apply everywhere. Now you will be asking, okay, Jota, you're talking about when somebody drives. What about cuts? What about cuts? You can cut anytime that does not, unless you get an advantage because your man falls or you really get an advantage to a free space, you can cut from anywhere as long as you do not disturb the space for the penetration of the ball, which means, let's say I'm here. Let's say I'm on the opposite corner, okay? So let's say that I find an advantage. Let's say I found an advantage. This is my man. Oh, and this is incredible because we are taught, right, the eagle side. Try to see everything at the same time. Okay, you should see everything without turning your head. Now, watch a professional game and try to watch how many times professional players turn their heads. Okay, that's an ideal thing. Nobody does it. Okay, we all turn our heads. So when defender is turning his head, he's not seeing me. That's a good moment to play a backdoor. That's a good moment to cut. And what happens? That if I cut here, I don't bring my man, I don't bring my defender into a situation where he's collapsing the penetration, which means, let's say it like this. If I got another player, let's say I got somebody here, okay? And he decides to cut. He decides to come here because he finds an advantage. And at the same time, this guy is driving. Bing, bong, bing, bong. Be very careful. We gotta make sure that we leave the space for the ball to manifest himself. If he wants to drive, he's got to be able to drive left and right. And if you apply the 3 rules I told you, with exception, he's gonna be able to manifest himself every single time. And every single time, he's gonna be able to pass to a teammate without trying to turn his head. Every single time, we're gonna be moving in order to facilitate him whatever he wants to do. So the thing here is that what rules is the ball. Player with the ball should be able to do whatever he wants. If he wants to pass, he can pass. If he wants to drive, rest of the team has to make sure that he's got the space to try to drive. Okay, and I will finish with this because I'm on the limit of the time, if not crossed. Okay, at the beginning of my conference, we were talking about of keeping as long as possible in the viewing angles of the ball. Look what happens. Usually what I see on courts, when somebody drives, we come behind. When this happens, when I move, my defender, if he's good enough, he's gonna move with me. But because I'm getting closer to the ball, this guy's gonna reach in and recover. So he's gonna force the ball to grab the ball where he doesn't wanna grab it. And now I'm on the back of the ball. So he won't have anybody on his viewing angles to try to pass if he gets in trouble. And that's important. Does this mean that you can never go on his back? Let's say that I do not promote it, but I don't forbid it, or don't make it mandatory, which means out of every 10 times, 9 or 8 do what you're told. 2, you can break the rules, because this is a cat and dog game or cat and mouse game. If you know my rules, you're gonna react to them. Sometimes we gotta break them in order to make defense or to tell defense, I know you know my rules, but you never know when I'm gonna break them. So you may react on the opposite way that you desire, in terms of you don't know what I'm gonna do. Okay, so well, in a quick way, these are the 3 rules that rule my spacing. Anything you find in basketball is in here, in these 3 rules. And you see that every rule, one by one, even my grandma can understand it. Okay, now what's difficult is to play all 3 rules at the same time with 5 players on court. That's why we practice. But then I'm not setting 100 rules with 100 exceptions. 3 rules, 1 big exception, 1 small exception, and a method that will help you comply with these 3 rules and the 2 exceptions. If you apply them, 99% of what you see on a basketball court is on those 3 rules. Okay, so well, I could keep going on, but I'm on the limit of the time, so I will stop here. And if you got any questions, I will be glad to try to help you guys.
Coaches, feel free to turn your mics on for any questions that you have, or if you prefer to put them in the chat, just let us know. Coach, you clearly explained everything so comprehensively. There's no questions.
That maybe, or maybe my English was not good enough.
May I just start by asking, could you discuss some of your ideas around practice strategies and methodologies for youth teams around introducing and developing these concepts?
Yeah. Okay. So with it, let's see if I. Okay. So the thing is, most of us start practicing, I don't know, 1-on-0 drills to work on the fundamentals. Okay, and there's gonna come a time soon enough. Okay, usually when they're 8, 9 years old, that you start doing things with a passer. Okay, when you start doing things with a passer, okay, it can be with defense or with no defense. That's up to you. Okay, let's say number 2 is a passer, and you play something to play a 1-on-1 or a drill just to play a pass, a get back, and try to play whatever, jab step to go for a layup. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay. So the thing here is that usually when we use somebody as a passer, we forget about the passer. It's like the passer only passes and he doesn't play. And that's the rule. I don't want you to finish. I want to play the 1-on-1. I don't want to play 2-on-1, but I'm playing it with a passer. Okay. So we're missing a lot of, or we're wasting a lot of time with that. Why? Because maybe this happened to you, I don't know, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. Now, because I cannot get rid of defense, what I do is I get close to the ball. And because I have no defense, I cannot finish, we do this. And I say, come on. If this guy, when you got the ball, and let's turn it around, okay? I got 2 with the ball because he's already received. I know I cannot finish because my coach said that I can only pass, okay? And now I got 1 without the ball because he's already passed and he's moving and he's coming towards me. What are you gonna do on a real game? Okay, you can go for a handoff, but that's not usually the case when you're starting to play basketball, right? So what you gotta force is, okay, he's coming towards me. You give him a space. Why? Because if you get too close together, one defender will be able to play defense on both. That's rule number 1. I don't want it. And that's what you do in mini basketball. Spread. Everybody goes against the ball. Okay. Now let's say that he gets the ball back. Number 2, he's able to receive with space. And number 2 gives the ball back to 1, which is what you're trying to work for. And now number 1, he drives because it's a 1-on-1 drill. but with one passer. Don't waste your time. Now this guy, and I'm gonna read the lines, okay? He hasn't finished his drill. Okay? Start applying the rules. He's going towards you, stay on his viewing angles. If you don't have a limit of passes, maybe he's in trouble and he wants to pass you. Okay? Perfect. If he doesn't pass you, you are creating the habit of something is gotta work in the future. Okay? And instead of wasting time just standing on a line and just watching, okay, I did my work. I just passed the ball back, so I'm finished. No, you're not finished. You can start playing spacing. Now, let's say he goes the opposite way. He drives here. Make sure he comes here. Okay? So let's think on a drill like this one, because maybe this is the way that you can start thinking about introducing the spacing when somebody drives on court. Okay? Let's say that you got 2 lines. Okay? No defense. That's you don't have any defense. Okay? And you got here somebody with the balls, 3, 4. Okay? And you do something like this. You drive. We go. You pass. And now you force him to do something. I don't know. Just go baseline with a crossover, and you go for a layup, whatever you want to work on fundamentals. Okay? Now, this is something I haven't talked because I don't have enough time. When you drive and kick the ball, the only thing you can never do is come back on your footsteps. Never. Well, never. Almost never. Okay? So in this situation, one thing you can do is keep going baseline. Baseline is your friend, as I told you. Okay? And it's very good. In this drill, what you can do is, okay, apply another angle, which means, and why is this? And I will explain it, although it's out of what you asked. Because if I beat my defender, but my defender is recovering, when I'm defending to somebody that he's already beating me and he kicks the ball off or out, I usually, as a defender, say, oh, he didn't score against me. So I relax for 5/10 of a second, something like that. If at that moment, and Stephen Curry is an expert doing this, if at that moment when you're relaxing, I appear somewhere else, I'm gonna receive back and I'm gonna shoot it. Okay? So in this case, I know they're small, they're kids, they're not gonna be able to shoot it from there, probably, I don't know. Okay, but these are habits they're gonna be having in the future. So look what happens. I kick the ball. Okay? Now, if I come here, like if I were playing for 1 second with number 2 who's got the ball, I look at him like if I were playing with him. Okay? Now I see he finishes. Oh, now who's on the 2 position? Number 1. So now I have number 1 here. I have number 1 here. 2 is already finished. Okay? 2 shoot the ball. He get the ball and he comes to this line. Oh, number 1 is the one next on line. Oh, sorry. Next on line can do exactly the same. We go for the same. Now you got a drill. Okay? Now, next step. You can do it. This same thing with a limited defense on the ball. So you work on passing with somebody defending on your side, and it can be limited. Next step, you can do the same, but with a defender instead of on the ball, with a defender on you, and you force him when you go to make a reach in and a recover. So I got a pass now with a opposition, not on me who I'm passing, but on who I want to pass. Okay? And the last on your progression, it can be doing the same thing, limited or not, on a 2-on-2. Okay, you can limit the defenders or it can be real. That's up to you. Now, next step on this situation. Okay, instead of always going to where this guy is, you can decide whether you want to go here or you want to go here. If you go opposite, where do I move? Back here. So now we play the same, but playing from another angle. Now, the one that kicked the ball opens up. So now when this guy finishes, when on this side we're finishing this, okay? Now we got the same start on the other side. So now we can do what? Now next one, 3 will be here without the ball. Okay, he kicked the ball, 3 will be here. I got somebody here. So now he decides. He goes towards me, I move with the ball. He goes opposite, I come. And after passing, whether it's in one side or the other, I open up. Maybe the next step is going baseline. Okay, this is something I didn't talk in this conference because I didn't have the time. What to do after you kick the ball, okay? But keep in mind, the only thing you cannot do is come back on your footsteps. Why? Because if you come back on your footsteps, you leave your defender well located to play a help defense without doing anything else. Without having to force myself to run, to move, he will be placed on the right side to play a help defense, okay? And this is something we want to avoid. If you want to help, if you want to keep the right position, you got to work. It's not me setting you in the right position. It's that you got to set yourself on the right position, okay? I don't know if this helps, Matt, okay?
Yeah, very useful, I think, to share with the coaches. There's a great question here from Jamie Nabrera. He says, considering the famous pass and cut offense within mini basket under 12s, what do you suggest instead for kids who have a limited understanding? And I know you're going to enjoy this question. It's a great one.
Okay, let me. Can you give the mic to who made the question? Can he get the mic?
Jamie, can you talk with Jota?
Hello, Jota.
Okay, hello. How are you?
Español, por cierto. Spanish, by the way.
We'll speak English for everybody.
Sure.
Okay.
For the audience.
Let's say this. When you're teaching mini basketball, okay, what would you say is your main goal?
Penetration one-on-one.
One-on-one. Okay, stay there. Go no longer. Okay, no farther. One-on-one. Okay. Now let's think about this. And this is what most of the coaches and schools say about teaching mini basketball. Fundamentals on the one-on-one. That's the goal. Okay. Now we keep practicing one-on-one fundamentals, and now we go on court and we play 5-on-5. Okay, and we do this. And I'm gonna keep it simple on a 3-on-3. Okay.
Okay.
We play pass. In Spanish, we say pass, cut front, and replace. Right?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what is usually taught.
Okay. Okay. So now, when can this guy play a one-on-one?
Yeah, it's true. I'm aware of the issue. I actually have seen your conference in Spanish. So the main issue is.
I mean, if I force this guy to cut in front, and in front means that maybe I come here, because we don't say pass and cut, we say pass and cut front.
Yeah.
Because if he cuts away from the ball, okay, I don't disturb the ball and whatever he wants to do. But if I have to cut front, if I want to start a penetration, wow, we collapse the space. So I would be able to start thinking about penetrating in terms of spacing when number one, okay, and I'm gonna set it here, is already arriving to the basket and starting to clear out, right? But the rule is cut front and replace. So somebody is arriving at the same time. This guy is arriving to the rim, this guy is arriving top, right? And if you don't pass him on time while he's in motion, you're gonna get I don't know how you say it in English. Okay. Okay, you're gonna be yelled at. Okay, you're gonna receive something from your coach. You gotta pass on time. And then I think in the kid's point of view. So you're teaching me to play one-on-one. And when I can find the spot or the place to play the one-on-one, because this guy has taken, I don't know, 1.5 seconds to leave me the space. Now I got the space to play the one-on-one. You're asking me to pass the ball to the man replacing. So when do I play the one-on-one? Never. And this gives a sense of everybody moving. Oh, we're moving. We're moving for what? A lot of coaches complain about playing sets on mini basketball. What's passing and cutting but a set? Where's the freedom of the player to do whatever he wants with the ball? Where's the freedom? I pass and I got a cut. I got no choice. My coach says I got a cut. I got a cut and go opposite. Somebody's replacing. Everything is established. That's a set. That's a set. So you ask me, play situations, everybody open or 4-on-1, drive and release, or drive and go to the basket. Cuts away from the ball. For sure, and this is important, I'm not saying that passing and cutting is not good. Passing and cutting, it's a tactical part of basketball. When you find an advantage, not like a rule. I mean, if I pass and I find an advantage with my guy because he's late on moving towards the ball, or he falls into the floor, I go and get that advantage. But as a rule, doesn't matter if I have an advantage, I have to cut. What that does is kills the spacing for the ball. And unless your goal is to teach everybody how to pass, okay, that your goal in mini basketball is not the 1-on-1, but the 5-on-5, I wouldn't play pass and cut as a rule. I would rather play concepts where the 1-on-1 is king. Okay, and I'm not saying 1-on-1 to finish in any situation. No, 1-on-1 with everybody moving to give passing lanes. Now you decide whether you want to finish or you want to pass. The one receiving, now he decides he wants to pass or he wants to drive, and we should make sure that if he wants to drive left or right, he's got the space to do it. The only thing that can avoid him from penetrating, besides his decision, is a defensive decision. That defense releases somebody to go and collapse the space. If that's the case, you should pass your free teammate. Okay? So if you're asking, and I know that's the question, if your goal is to teach 1-on-1 fundamentals on mini basketball, passing and cutting kills 1-on-1. So for me, makes no sense.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Jamie. Next question from Tope is, what are the most common issues or mistakes that you find players are making when it comes to timing specifically?
Okay, usually it's reacting too late. It's just that we react when we see we say here in Spain because we got these bullfights, when the ball is over you or it's on you. Okay, it's so close to you. No. As soon as you see the ball coming to you, you gotta start moving. So this means that let's say that somebody's driving. Okay, let's say, and this is very typical. This situation is very typical. Okay, especially if you play 5 open or 4 open. Okay, you go like this. It's not that I start to move when he arrives to my line. Is that as soon as he starts to take this first dribble, I'm gonna start to move. Okay, being late is usually the biggest mistake. Okay, and it takes time. I mean, you gotta practice, and it's a long way. You gotta be patient as coaches. Okay, but if you ask me what's the big catch when teaching, not my rules, but whoever rules, it's being late on everything, not moving. It's like when you pass on defense, you teach defense, right? And you say, you gotta move with the ball when the ball is on the air, not when the ball arrives to your man. So it would be the same concept here. You don't have to move when he's arriving towards you. You gotta move when he starts to move. Okay, and for instance, and this is important, is that everything is dynamic. What I mean is that initially, if number 1 goes here, I'm starting to move. This guy is starting to move, and halfway he crosses over and he reacts to the other one. We gotta react opposite immediately, because now circumstances have changed. Okay, so everything is dynamic. Okay, we apply the rules, whatever happens with the ball, because our goal is to give the ball the space to manifest himself. Okay, and that doesn't mean that he's got to be selfish. That's something you got to teach him. Okay, while you're driving, if somebody's in a better position than you, just go for it. Just pass him. Okay, for sure. When somebody, when somebody's driving, okay, let's say you got this. When somebody's driving, you can also cut. What's the only catch when you cut in those situations if you find an advantage? That you gotta do it in a way where when you cut, you do not collapse the ball. Usually, you're gonna be safe if you cut baseline. If you wanna be safe cutting this way, you gotta do it early when he's starting dribble. Okay? Because now here's enough distance. So my cut is gonna bring, let's make this clear. Let's say this guy starts to drive. I see an advantage related to my man, and I decide to cut here. What's this defender gonna do? He's gonna come with me. So if I do it when this guy is here, we're collapsing his space. If I do it early enough, that when he's here, we are already on the other side. Now it's what I've been telling. If he wants to cut, he frees me. Okay? If he comes with me, he's free in the space of the penetration. And usually, if you want to avoid this, if you cut baseline, you're always on the safe side.
Okay, anything else for Coach? I hope Tope's still in the call. Yeah, he is. Okay. We'll take his silence as he's happy. There's a question from
You were asking me?
No, I was asking for Tope. No, for Tope. There's a question from Jamie, but Tope said he's happy with the answer. So, Jamie, I don't understand your question, so maybe you can, if you're still in the chat, you can jump on the mic and ask Coach yourself. Okay, I don't think he's in the call anymore. Okay, so he's not in the call. I just checked. So, any last questions for Jota, guys, before we check out? Okay, I think that's it. Okay, Jota, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for your energy, your explanations, and as you said at the start, making everything very clear for us. We really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Welcome. It's a pleasure.
All right, guys, we're back again next week, Monday at 6 p.m. Talking about all things mini basket. Maybe they will talk about pass and cut as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, see you guys.
Muchas gracias, Jota.
Placer.
Thank you very much, Jota. Take care.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye. I'm disconnecting.
Bye-bye, guys.
Gracias. Será